Welcome to episode number 171 of Broad Street Hustle. I'm your host tonight, Jason Sayeda, and it's week one of the NFL. We will be giving our analysis of the Eagles game, our picks, and then also our three-pack of picks, as we'll start that. I don't know if we call it a competition or not, but we all give our three best bets of the week, and then we track them and track the whole time. This will be the fourth year of us doing it, so we got some good data on it. But we are going to start out talking Phillies, since they're in a pennant race. It's September now, and it was an interesting week, so we'll get into some of that. So tonight's episode is brought to you by Giovanni's Pizza. You tried the rest, I'll try the best. It's going to be a light panel tonight. Tommy is not feeling well, so he is not joining us, but I am joined by our bellwether, Jimmy the Chalk.
Bellwether. That's the word I had to look up the other day to make sure I was using it correctly. So, yeah.
So hopefully I am too.
I forget what the definition is, but.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've got some heavy lifting to do tonight between the two of us, but I think we could do it.
Should be easy enough.
I think so. All right, let's get into it. We're going to start with the Phillies. So as it stands now, we're taping this on Wednesday night. Game 2 of the Brewers series just started. But as of now, the Phillies are 80-58 in first place in the National League East by 6 games now over the Mets. The Mets actually lost this afternoon. So the Phillies the Phillies have a 7-game lead in the loss column on the Mets. So pretty solid lead for the first week of September. I have some notes jotted down. Jim, you could take it wherever you want, but I'll just throw out a couple of things before we get started. I think your top 3 starters in the rotation are still strong. They're all lefties. I don't see that as an issue. I actually think it's an advantage in a playoff series to throw 3 lefties at a team. The problem is your fourth starter. It's definitely not going to be Taijuan Walker because he is reverted back to being Taijuan Walker again. Now, Aaron Nola is pitching tonight. We'll see what he gives us tonight against a playoff team that we might wind up meeting up with at some point. Going to be important because, as of now, it's Aaron Nola or they just signed Walker Buehler. I don't know if Walker Buehler he's not the Walker Buehler that he used to be. So can't count on much from Walker Buehler. So Aaron Nola's got to step up here. I think the bullpen is leaking a little oil, especially Kirkring, and that could be a problem. We could touch on that, and then touch on the outfield. I mean, it's pretty much become a full platoon, except for Bader. It seems like Bader stepped up, and Bader's probably going to get the most playing time of any of the outfielders at this point. But Castellanos is part of a platoon now. So, Jim, I'll let you take it from there. You start with whatever you want or add whatever you want.
Yeah, so, as of last week, I don't think, none of us on this podcast were concerned about their prospects of blowing the division. And, when you enter the week with a 7-game lead, you get swept by the second team in the division and you still manage to end the week with a 6-game lead. That's not a good week for for the second place team, in this case, the Mets, no matter whether they beat the Phillies or not. I mean, the Mets beat the Phillies, the Mets can't beat the Braves, the Phillies beat the Braves, or the Mets can't beat the Marlins, whatever. So they have the Phillies number for whatever reason right now, but they're not beating these other teams. And it was kind of, really they could easily be, well, I'd say easily because, Monday was a good win, maybe best win of the season, depending on how you want to look at it, the way they fought back against, the best record in the, I guess their best record in the league now, Milwaukee, or at least the National League. But they could have swept the Braves. Bullpen gave that up, although it was only a 1-0 lead on Sunday night. But the bullpen, we signed off when Schwarber only had 3 home runs last week, and he hit his 4th one shortly thereafter. So that was a romp. And then, of course, there's no statistical analysis for it, but the feeling is, you put up 19 runs, you're going to struggle to score the rest of the week, which they did to some extent, but they still got 2 out of 3. The Sanchez and Ranger starts were kind of similar in that they gave up a ton of hits, but they just didn't let guys cross the plate. 1 run each, and I think Ranger had 10 hits, Sanchez had 7. So, not a lot of hits, but they were managed to just keep them.
A lot of singles,
Yeah,
and all too.
yeah.
It wasn't a lot of extra base.
So they weren't bombs, and so the fact that they weren't able to score a lot, they scored enough. The bullpen got the loss Sunday night, and the bullpen struggled Monday, where they got back in the game and then got the lead, lost the lead, got the lead, lost the lead, and then finally, they got to Duran and was able to close it out.
Let me jump in there, because to me, I think Banks is your setup guy. I don't feel comfortable with anybody else in that role right now, but Banks.
I think he's been your most consistent pitcher at that point. He got
he came in with the base loaded, nobody out. He got a weak ground ball by Olsen, I think, the first base.
Yeah,
which allowed a run to score. And I think he had a strike, maybe 2 strikeouts. Definitely had 1 strikeout.
Yeah, I'm looking at his. I'm trying to pull up his most recent stuff now.
Unbelievable. What he came in and did in that situation. That Kirkring
couldn't. Yeah,
fire.
and the Sunday night game, Alvarado gives up the home run, which whatever. But he's been. I'm just looking right now. He's been solid. Kirkring, we've talked about Kirkring a little bit. To me, he's not a guy I want to rely on in high leverage situations right now. For the obvious, he's struggling a little bit. And then, Robertson, Strom, they're starting to, like you said, leak oil a little bit. So
those are guys like, I'm fine with Robertson, but I don't think, I'm not in the 8th inning. Like Robertson, you want to bring him in the 6th and 7th inning, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You want to bring Strom in the 6th and 7th inning, I'm fine. I think Banks has got to be 8th. Now, this guy Meza that they got, if you look at his stats, other than last year, he's solid. Like he's not a bad pitcher. So he's eligible for the playoffs. So he's going to be one of your arms in the bullpen in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Laser just came back up, but I don't know if he's going to be. Because somebody just got hurt and they got sent down. I forget who it was. I remember reading, but
Robert.
Yeah, that's who it was. But I don't know if he was making the postseason roster anyway.
No. And then you got Bueller, who Bueller. Oh, come on,
terrible.
Awful play. But you got Bueller, who he was actually effective out of the bullpen last year in the World Series. So
that's. We talked about it a little bit. Just standing there. Why did you do this?
What is he doing?
I don't know. Just mental lapse, mental mistake, I guess. But yeah, we were talking about, would like Ranger maybe be the longer guy back, Ranger or Luzardo, but that was before Wheeler gets hurt and Nola comes back but is questionable. So I think you have. To me, you don't make that signing without that being the intent, because
well, here you go now. So it's you're allowed no more than 13 pitchers in the playoffs. So we know who the 4 are, right? We know the 4 starters are going to be.
Yep.
You got to assume Nola is going to be your 4th
starter. Yeah, I don't see any way around it.
Okay, so that's 4. So you got Duran 5.
Mm-hmm.
You got Banks 6. You got Kirkring 7. Robertson 8. Strom 9. Mays is going to be 10.
Walker. Do you put Walker on the roster?
That's what I was getting at. That
he
might not make it, but I think he has to now. So he's 11. Bueller's 12. And then who am I forgetting? Is there one guy?
I'm looking at the now. So Alvarado obviously is ineligible. You said Kirkring, right?
Yeah.
So Trevino, I don't think he's going to be on there, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, 13 would be including, so there's 14 active on the roster now. Alvarado's out, so that leaves you 13. So that's Trevino. But then you swap him out, I guess, for Walker. And yeah, so then it's Banks, Duran, Kerkering. Oh, I'm sorry, that includes Laser. So Lazar or whatever. Yeah.
He's going to be 13 then.
Yeah.
So Walker will make it, and Bueller will make it, and Mazer will make it. So
yeah, actually, I meant Bueller when I said Walker, but I used his first name by accident. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, there's no room in the starting rotation for him. So if they have to see him, I would think, as a long arm out of the bullpen for a couple innings. Like, I mean,
And remember what you have to do, and this is what people didn't understand last year when they were whatever year it was where they weren't pitching Walker, and Walker was getting mad, and people were like, why aren't they using Walker? You need to save one of your long men for the extra innings in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to run out of pitchers, and then you need a guy who's going to give you length. If you get to the 12th inning and it's still tied and you're out of pitchers, you need a guy that could give you 4 or 5 innings at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and I think at this point you have to question. Ranger only gave up 1 run, but he only got through 5 innings last time. So between him and Nola, those are 2 guys you got to question how many times are you going to get him through the rotation. So if you're going to pull them after 5 or 6 innings, then you're going to want somebody like Bueller that maybe comes in and gives you 2, 3 innings if you're lucky.
So I think what happens is it's going to fall on Walker again. Like, Walker's not going to pitch unless you need him in the 13th inning of a tie game and extra innings, and you might have to throw 4 or 5 innings. So that's just the way it works out in the playoffs. Like, you can't risk running out of pitchers. So
no, yeah, you got to have guys. Yeah, I mean, him or Bueller would be your 2 options, but Bueller would be the guy that you look to bring in on a regular basis if need be. So.
And then, the outfield, Bader's been really good. And Bader splits, if you look, he hits righties just as well as lefties. Now, he hits neither that good, but it's not like he's hitting 300 against lefties and, 220 against righties. He's hitting 250 or 260 against both of them. So, and his defense is spectacular. Like, he just gets jumps on balls, and, he goes and gets balls. So at this point, you're probably, he's going to play 5 out of every 6 games during the regular season, and maybe every game in the playoffs. And you're gonna have a platoon of Kepler and Castellanos in right, and probably Marsh, and maybe Wilson, I guess, in left. I mean, I think that's their platoon.
Yeah, I mean, I know Marsh. I would almost just keep Marsh in the lineup, but it's just he just doesn't hit lefties. But
he's not going to hit lefties.
I was actually slightly surprised that they didn't use one of the call up spots on Rojas, because he changed his stance down there and he's been hitting better down there. I thought for a September call up they might have used a spot on him just to get him some reps at the major league level. So I guess that just goes to say that he's not in their he's not in their plans at all for the playoffs, but.
Plans. I think this is going to be your outfield, and I think Marsh will play center against maybe a really tough righty, and like I said, Bader's not going to play every game, but he's going to play 5 out of 6 probably. And then Wilson's going to get in against a tough lefty. You're not going to. Castellanos is probably not a full platoon guy, but he's He's getting close to it.
Yeah. Outside, Nola's thrown 6 balls and 9 pitches and walking a hit batsman. So,
Wheeler is your 4th start.
Not a good start. So far, no outs. Yeah, I mean, I think Castellanos is going to be I don't know they're going to platoon him to start the playoffs, but I mean, if it's a 5-game series and you lose in 4 games, you don't have a lot of leeway to switch your mindset. As far as that goes, I could see. I mean, Thompson's kind of said like, well, he's going to get hot eventually, or he's streaky, so he'll start hitting. So and maybe that's your philosophy, then you're probably going to play him.
See, my theory on him is, and I haven't looked lately at that hard hit percentage because they
I mean,
really
it was
talk
terrible
about that
before, yeah.
lately. And they're talking about guys that have that percentage as high as Schwarber win MVP. So if you're looking at hard hit percentage and you're looking at Castellanos, he is not good this year. He has had a bad year. So I think they take that into account, that a lot of his balls are, if he's hitting in the 30%, he's getting a little lucky. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like, he was griping the other night. He's like, I don't like to get taken out for defense, but he's not a good defensive
not
player.
producing.
So,
Like Kepler was doing the same thing earlier in the year.
yeah.
And he wasn't producing either. Like if you're not producing, you're gonna start getting platooned. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Yeah. And, I mean, he took a pretty nasty pitch on Saturday. It looked like, I thought maybe, he could have been done, but he played Sunday, finished the game Saturday. So, I guess that's not an issue. But I mean, even, he's 33. I mean, if you platoon him just to give him some extra rest, like, I mean, he's not a spring chicken. So I'm fine with him not playing that much before the playoffs. I think Topper's going to play him in the playoffs more
I
often
just
than
think
not. But
the platoon's working. Like it's
definitely been successful. I don't know. He's got loyalty to guys, so I could see him foregoing Castellanos in a platoon position in the playoffs to start. But I don't know.
I mean, I'm not a Wilson fan, but when he's in there, he hits a home run every once in a while against the left, and I mean, it is what it is. Again, if they had guys who deserve to play every day, he would play them.
That's the problem. Yeah, you don't. We're talking about who could do this because there aren't 3 guys that have solidified themselves as your everyday player. I mean, Bader would be the one right now. He's hitting 3-something since joining the team, and
he deserves to play.
He's playing great defense. So yeah, that would be for sure. Marsh had a really good game the other day, but again, like you said, he's still struggling against lefties, and you're not going to have just like. We might have a mostly lefty rotation, but nobody is going to throw 4 right-handers out at you every game, every series. Yeah. So, that's going to hurt him. But
yeah. All right. Well, Noel is lighting a gas can on fire as we're speaking. So this is probably not going to be a good result. But I guess we'll talk about that next week. Let's get into football. Let's talk Eagles. So we are taping this on Wednesday because the Eagles are playing on Thursday. So when we normally tape, so the Eagles have the first game of the season, opening night at the Link. I guess they get their rings and stuff.
No, they got the rings already. They did that, but they'll unveil the Super Bowl banner
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of hype and stuff. Have to hope it's not a letdown after that. But I'll throw it to you to talk a little on the game. I don't have that much because it's the first game of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but I'll leave the burden on you. Go ahead.
I mean, Sirianni made the comment the other day of, well, we'll be in the locker room when they unveil the banner because that's last year, and we're not.
Yeah, we're not already starting with that nonsense.
Yeah, we're not here to celebrate last year. This is a new year, and all that. Most of the guys are still the same. And I find it humorous because there's a couple people, writers some of whom I do respect are writing. This Eagles team is much more equipped to repeat than the one that won the Super Bowl back in 2017, and it's like, no kidding. They saved 2-0 already. They dog walked the best team in the last 5 years in the Super Bowl, and they brought all their players back instead of having, people coming off injury and everything last time around where they got a little lucky to win. So yeah, they're in a better spot to repeat, even though it's unlikely. So stellar analysis. But anyway, um, the Eagles always have questions for me in game one because Sirianni doesn't play the starters at all in the preseason. And so you never get to see some of that stuff, which, I mean, people are doing less and less nowadays. But still, it's like, okay, so when they hit the field the first time, what's going to happen? And now the Cowboys obviously have upheaval on the defensive side of the ball, having traded Parsons and bringing in the tackle from Green Bay, who is a decent player, run stopper more than anything else. But, that whatever scheme that Eberflus was putting together that expected to have Micah Parsons now gets turned on its edge. And they're, I was listening to one of the shows today, and like, if you take the plays, I think it was last year, it was at least last year, I don't know if it went back further than that. If you take the plays where Parsons was on the field for Dallas, like they were like one of the top rated defense in the league. And now that player is gone. And so there's got to be a drop off of some sort. What kind of analysis can you really do? Like you said, I mean, I think I think Dallas will have a chance to put up some points because, Dak is Dak. He can turn the ball over, but he can also sling it. And it's now 5-0 with no outs, almost like the other day. We'll see how that ends. And look, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is a top 5, maybe top 3 receiver in the league. Probably they brought in Pickens, who is a bit of a head case, but if he has his head on straight, he's a very good second receiver on the other side. And the Eagles secondary is going to take a little bit of time to get set because, they have a new cornerback, and we didn't really talk about this at all last week, I don't think, but, they lost they traded Gardner Johnson, and he was a ball hawk. And so, there's going to be room there to make some plays for the Dallas offense for sure. I think the Eagles are just a much better team at this point. And although the early weeks of the season will see some of these fluky wins where a heavy dog ends up winning, and gets people knocked out of their survivor pools early. I don't think this is the game where it happens. So, I mean, the line is currently sitting at 7.5 to 8.5, depending on where you look, because the last couple of years, these quote unquote good Eagles teams have sort of had an up and down game the first time around. I'm not going to say they cover. So I'm going to say 27-20, Eagles win. So whether it's 7.5 or 8.5, they don't cover the spread. That could be a late, score, obviously, on the Dallas side. I think just they'll do enough. And even with their new look defensive line, you have enough guys that are going to get pressure. And the Dallas offensive line is not what it once was, especially on the tackles. And they're going to be in trouble. So I expect Fangio will have enough cooked up that they'll limit the Dallas offense, and Eagles will get enough to win by 7.
Yeah, so I have some thoughts. So I just can't see them losing this game strictly on the fact that I think Dallas is bad. Now I do think Dallas's offense could be good this year, but early in the year I think the defenses are ahead of the offenses. So, and a lot of it is because, like you said, like Sirianni doesn't play his guys in the preseason. So, I mean, this is really the first time they're on the field together, since February. So, and the same with Dallas. Now, Dallas's defense is probably, they lost arguably, one of the top 5 defensive players in the league.
They lost their 2 best pass rushers because Lawrence is gone too.
And Lawrence is gone. So now at least they could have prepared for Lawrence being gone. Parsons is gone a week. I mean, they weren't prepared for Parsons not to be here. So I just think Dallas might finish last in the division this year. The Eagles are healthy. Dickerson's playing. I guess McKay is the only injury. Now is that a bad injury?
He is probably, I don't 2 or 3 weeks maybe, I think, which is why they went and got Howell.
Guy.
But
Listen, I've seen Hal play, and people make fun of Hal. He, he had his moments where he was okay. Like
I mean, he has two best games against the Eagles
maybe
two
that's
two
why.
seasons ago. Yeah, I mean, look, he's serviceable for a very short period of time. I mean, if Hurts gets
Okay.
hurt in the first quarter, he can come in and maybe finish the game. I don't want him starting next week against Kansas City if it has to come to that,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he can do a couple plays or mop up time if need be for
Yeah.
sure.
And you guys know how much I like McKee, but so the Eagles are healthy. I can't see them losing this game. I'm gonna err on the side of it, like I said, being low scoring because that I think the defenses are a little ahead of the offenses at this point in the season. So I'll say 24-17 Eagles. So I guess you could say I don't think they're gonna cover, but I think they win. Like I don't think it's a game. I think they win. They win handily. Maybe the score is not as close as the game will be, or the score is closer than the actual game will be. So I think they win 24-17. So all right, let's get into our picks. I'll do a brief recap of where we are all time. So this is the fourth season that we've done the picks. In the first 2 years, I had the best record. Last year, Chalky had the best record. Let us do our overall record. So I am overall 90-68, a profit of $1,355, a 57% win percentage, 9% ROI. I guess Chalky's 80-79, so he's slightly above 50% win. He has a loss though of $556 and minus 3% ROI. Tommy's pretty much the same. He's 74-74, loss of $459, minus 3% ROI. So you guys are pretty much tied there. Now our clown picker, Meeker, we don't know if he's going to come back this year. We don't know. And I know there's definitely at least one person I know that listens to the podcast who just bets against anything Meeker puts out there and has profited big time over the 3 years. So he might jump off a bridge actually. But anyway, so Meeker's 72-81, a loss of $1,598, 47% win percentage, minus 10% ROI. So anybody who's fading Meeker's picks is probably needs to be on
Yeah.
suicide run.
But flip it around, 53% win percentage. It's winning, but it's not. You're just getting a little bit above the breaking even point. So he pulled it. He pulled it up last year, for sure.
He was a little better
Yeah,
last year,
but
but he's still a disaster when we get to the best bets.
well, that's a different story.
So overall, the four of us are 316-302, a loss of $1,258, 51% win, minus 2% ROI. Our best bets, I'm 29-22, 57%. Tommy's 27-22, 55%. Chalky's 26-27, 49%. Meeker 23-28, 45%. So there you go. So 55% betting against his best bets.
There you go.
So 105-99, 51% is our record. So with that, we don't have Tommy's picks. So I'll let you lead off because you actually did good doing that last year. We have a special guest picker. And Chalky, I'll let you reveal those, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah,
You get whichever ones you want to do first. The guests picked.
I'll do my first. Might as well
Okay.
keep with whatever. And for those listening or watching, if we do get Tommy's picks before Sunday, we'll post them in the comments. That way they're on record ahead of time. So I mean, we talk about time, but it's Wednesday, and unless you're playing the game tomorrow night, or in some cases the Friday game this week, looking at where the bets are, it's not.
I will add this in. It's a lot easier, and I could attest to this because I was in a contest last year where you weren't allowed to make picks until Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. and the lines are tight at that point.
Yes,
So
I will be in that contest this year. So
you will be in it.
I will be in that contest. Yes.
Okay, very very nice.
So we'll see.
We'll track our picks there. But wait do you see how tight those lines get at Friday at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
There's no meat on the bone.
I'm
at
sure.
all.
I'm sure. So
So us doing the picks Wednesday,
uh,
if you get the podcast out tonight and anybody listens, put the bets in then.
yeah,
Because the lines are going to tighten up.
no, for sure. And there wasn't any sides I really love this week, and with the betting split so far, I'm taking 3 totals. And sorry, that's maybe it's allowed, but it's frowned upon. So my top pick is going to be under in the Kansas City Chargers game. That's under 46.5 minus 115. So these are all DraftKings lines as usual as of Wednesday night. So that's a 115 line. Yeah, too good. I mean, look, if we're going to do splits, every game right now is heavy on the over as it's getting bet, but the totals again, it's still early, but two good defenses. Hopefully the field's in a little better condition than what the Eagles had to deal with down there last year, but I could see that being a 23-20 game for sure, hopefully. So under that, second pick is going to be under 50.5 in the Baltimore-Buffalo game. I believe that's one of the Monday night games. Or is that the Sunday night game? It's the big game. It's the big game of the week because those are your two. Between them and KC, those are your teams that are everybody's picking for the championship game out there. That's a 110 line, so under 50.5 in the Baltimore Buffalo game, and then third is under 38.5 in the Pittsburgh Jets game. That's minus 108. That had a game that had the rights to be ugly in the first place, and the Jets just lost their best lineman on the interior. Their guard went down. He's out for the year with a triceps tear. Switching quarterbacks. Fields is now on the Jets. Rodgers is on Buffalo. I'm sorry, not Buffalo. Steelers. Neither one really does much for me, as we talked about last week. So I'm going to say it ends up being a defensive ugly game under 38.5 minus 108 for that. All right. So the guest picker, who was the as mentioned last week, the rally monkey from the Anaheim Angels, now Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, super World Series win.
Were you able to get in touch with him? Because I really think he's an improvement over Meeker.
Yes. His handler gave it to me. So his top pick is going to be the Bengals minus 5.5 versus the Browns. That is a 108 line.
Okay.
Second pick is going to be the Eagles minus. Okay, this has changed since we went on the air. DraftKings is now back to 8.5 minus 105 on the Eagles. It was 7.5, 115 when we started, but that's what I'm looking at right now. So that's what the Rally Monkey gets. And then the third pick is going to be the Green Bay Packers minus. It was minus 2.5. Let me make sure that didn't change. Yep, that's minus 2.5, minus 115 against the Detroit Lions.
So the Rally Monkey has submitted his picks. Very cool. Great. All right. So like we said, if Tommy submits, we will update the comments. I'll give mine. My best bet's the Colts, minus 1.5, minus 102. I don't know if that's changed since I looked, but as you look at that,
1.5, 102. Yep.
Okay. That's a shady line to me because I think the Colts are going to be garbage this year. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be that bad of a team. And the public is on the Dolphins, and yet that line is still minus 1.5. Daniel Jones stinks and this and that. So that's just too shady to me. I think there's something up with that. So I'm gonna have the Colts be my top pick. Second pick will be the Jaguars minus 3.5 plus 100.
Yep.
Okay. I'm big on the Jacksonville this year. I think Cohen is going to turn the offense around, and hopefully he turns Lawrence around. I'm not big on the Panthers, so I think that's a game where if that game is played, 2 months from now, that line is like a touchdown. So I think you're getting value there at minus 3.5 on Jacksonville. And my last pick's going to be the Giants +6, -112.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think the Giants are going to be bad this year. Tommy just sent a text in, so see if we might have his picks. But anyway, I'll keep going. Giants, I do not think are going to be bad this year. I think their defense is going to be very good. And I think Wilson's an upgrade over Jones. So, and I'm not as high on the Commanders and as other people are. So, I'll take +6 in that game, -112. So let me read Tommy's text. Just woke up. He's still texting. So we might get his picks. Chalky, I don't know if you have anything else to say as we wait for Tommy's text, but
Not really. This just it delays my DVR watching of the NFL Network America's Game recap of the Eagles last season that is premiering as we speak. But
did you? But you DVR?
yeah, I set the DVR for it. Oh, okay.
Did they? Oh no!
Nobody got hurt. It doesn't seem like collision in the outfield.
That could have been ugly. Bader just is like his hair's on fire to go after every ball, and Wilson is.
Yeah, Bader is out of control in a good way, I guess. But yeah, he's got to be careful.
Like he might be a little.
He could be a little worse for wear.
As Nola continues to give up bombs.
I mean, Wilson could have had that maybe. It's hard to tell. Oh, it was in his glove. Yeah, if Bader does, Wilson gets that. I guess if he kind of let up because it looked like he was going to hit Bader.
I mean, I know the center fielder gets every ball really, but I can't blame Wilson on that. I kind of think Wilson. That's Wilson's ball there.
Yeah, I would probably agree. I mean, he's coming because Bader's going against his body to catch that backhanded.
All right, I'm just texting Tommy. Just ending. Odd. I don't know if he's texting. Here it is. He just sent. So he thinks the Eagles are going to win 30-20. His top pick is the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
It's 115.
There you go.
That's so funny. His second pick is the Packers -2.5.
So he's with the monkey there.
With the rally monkey. And then his third pick is the Falcons money line.
So that is 114.
+114.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So there we go. Got him in. Got it down to the wire.
We're in. We have everybody's pick. So that's it. That's all we have. Next week, we may have a new guest joining as I've been texting as we've been doing the podcast. We will reconvene next week and see if we do have an additional guest. But Tommy should be back, and I'm sure we're going to talk more Phillies and then week 2 of the NFL, and we'll review the Eagles game. So that's all I have. I don't know if you have anything else, Chalky, but
Nope. It's a good feeling as a Philadelphia sports fan. Instead of asking the question, can they do it this year, is can they repeat? We don't really get to experience that much. So even if the answer is no, it's a different feeling starting the year.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you could for the next 6 months, they're the Super Bowl champs. So, but all right, that's all for tonight. Thanks for joining, and we will see you next week.